Hey there! Yes, down here. Welcome back. Things are looking a bit different since we last saw each other, huh? Well, Arsinna Toros friends, and welcome to my new and improved tour of my Draenei home. Did I say home? I mean a spaceship. Sort of. You better be sitting comfy, as it would mean so much to me if you stay until the end. Since the housing patch, I've been quietly working on one project, building my own Draenei-inspired vessel. And when I say I've been working on it, I mean this is basically the only thing I've done. I've always loved that glowing, crystalline Draenei architecture, so I was heavily inspired by the Draenei vessels such as the Exodar, Tempest Keep, the Vindicar, and many others. I was especially inspired by Shadowmoon Valley in Draenor. I'm very happy with how the outside turned out. I moved out of the gloomy Duskwoody area to a more sunny spot, and I did my best to capture the Draenei essence while still maintaining the budget. As you'll see later, the outside is just the front, but we're being self-sufficient by raising baby fairy dragons and selling Alec plushies. I also used both my accounts to record myself, so I hope you find this style of editing fun to watch. Like I said, this is just the front, a grounded part of the house, because, as you can see, there is no door, only a teleport. It is a wondrous upheaval, and it's time to embark. Welcome aboard! Your tour starts here. Feel free to look around, explore, and enjoy your stay. We are very accommodating and provide food, entertainment, drinks, souvenirs, toilets, as well as the best views of the outside. We are fortunate enough to be blessed by a Naru, so you can rest assured your journey will be safe and preferably not end in a crash on a distant planet. The main area is divided into 3 wings, each providing every visitor with whatever they might need. A lot of us even live on board. The middle wing is where our vessel captain resides, so it is not always available for visitors. But you're free to roam any other area until visiting hours are over. Remember, the only way out is through a scan and a teleport, so be at your best behavior. Let's start with the left wing. Note our design feels familiar, nostalgic, like you've been here before. And maybe in some dimension, you have. In this wing, you can purchase books, scrolls, librams, and tomes. You can also purchase pillows, bedding, curtains, and clothes, and finish off with a sweet dessert that you can enjoy at our cafe section. The bookstore provides the essential Draenei literature, anything from our history as well as some autographed works by our most famous writers. You can also get scrolls of fortitude, mastery, strength, and some other minor spells. Use them at your discretion and only outside. We also have this cozy nook for book previews. Next, it's time for a snack. Our bakers are trained all across Azeroth, and our cupcakes are an excellent companion. We can even advise you on flavors depending on the latest book you purchased or your current mood. The ingredients are fresh and the sweets are baked daily. We provide deliveries and can cater your next special day. We hope you enjoy, and if you did, spread the word. If you're looking for a comfy place to sleep on tonight, or something to wear, feel free to browse our luxurious cloth shop. Only the finest cloths and silks for our beloved visitors. Our tailors can even enchant a piece of cloth for your needs, as Draenei looms are imbued with Naru magic. The garbs sold here are traditional Draenei fashion and represent our people and our pride. Once you're done shopping, you can catch your breath at our cafe area. You're free to bring your sweets or cupcakes with you here, as we have staff that clean up regularly. And now for something a bit different. As I said, we all live here. This is where my hunter resides, and she will give you a quick tour after she changes into some comfy clothes. Of course, we have to greet Isanti first and check to see how he's doing. He seems fine after some pets. My huntress is a skilled jewel crafter, and she has set up a little area in her house for it. The house has everything one might need. Her pet has his own space and even his own plushie. She's yet to open her jewelry stand. There is a small shrine next to her bed in memory of her first Elec companion that is no longer with us. And of course, gotta have a bathroom. Now on to the next one. My shaman is a simple girl and doesn't need much. Just some comfy clothes and she's all set. Her home is set up to her liking and she uses a lot of shamanistic symbols in her decorating. She also attunes to her totems daily. Her main element is water, so she uses it to heal not just people, but the earth itself. She enjoys sharing the shamanistic culture with many different tribes too, so don't be surprised to see some mementos that aren't strictly Draenei. We're all here to learn together. The next section of the vessel has 3 micro-homes. They share a bathroom and a common area they can all use. You know how some people take other cultures way too seriously? that's my monk. She really enjoys the Pandaren culture, as she has spent many moons in their lands. Initially an Alchemy of the Aldor, she switched and trained under the strongest Pandaren masters to become a monk instead. She's specifically fascinated with Chi-Ji and finds many similarities between him as a symbol of hope and what the Draenei cherish the most. Little is known about the Warlock and Death Knight that share this room. They're usually quiet and keep to themselves, but always seem busy and lost in thought. Their place is actually pretty nice and tidy, not what you would expect from someone usually dealing with death or its aftermath. But death is a peculiar part of Draenei history, as up until certain events, death was quite rare due to their perceived immortality. And so, as some cultures disregard the Alchemy or death speakers, they're quite essential to Draenei culture. The words Warlock and Death Knight are just more common labels. If she wasn't involved with pirating at some point, could we really say she was a true rogue? Unfortunately, the seas cost her an eye, so she decided to retire and spend her days on this vessel. But not before keeping a lot of her crowns and trophies, and she still likes to destroy her kitchen by perfecting her aim, the only advantage of losing an eye. Nowadays, she tends to a little garden of poison ivy that she uses to make poisons, oils, and potions that her old companions still need. And with war approaching once more, demand is high. But her rent is always on time, so the vessel allows it. As I said before, these micro homes share a bathroom and a shower, which is also a public restroom that can be used by visitors as well. Worry not, it has a lock mechanism that only works from inside. Your privacy is safe. That concludes the left wing tour. The right wing provides different forms of entertainment, and it holds a key part of the vessel. Once again, you will find a cafe area where you can rest, a kaffa shop where you can get a drink, a small produce stand, and our homemade crystalsmith weaponry or trinkets. And speaking of her, she is someone that has been through hell and back. A strong warrior of the Aldor, she made the decision to pause her combat and dedicate herself to the art of the crystalsmith, something she takes great pride in. She is the sole provider of weaponry and trinkets for the vessel, and her ability to sell on board helps fund some of the ship's costs. For a small fee, visitors can observe her while she works, honing the crystals into the perfect shape. Visitors will only receive their purchased weapons after exiting the vessel, for safety regulations. But at the end of the day, even the fiercest warriors snuggle their plushie before sleep. Crystals are very important to Draenei and have a lot of use in their everyday life. Be it weapons, jewelry, wands, lamps, and even training accessories, crystals hold many powers that the Draenei race was able to unlock and use for their benefit. And just like crystals and nether energy fuel this ship, we too need fuel. So come on down to the Kaffa Cafe and get yourself a fresh cup of our finest kaffa, imported directly from Kunlai. You can enjoy it at either the bar or the resting area across the cafe. Our selection is limited, but the flavors are memorable. If you're looking for a healthy snack, the ship provides its guests and residents with fresh produce daily. It's all organic and no magic was involved in their growth. As of last month, we also started importing honey to make sure that all your days start off as sweet as you are. Got your snack? Got your drink? Stop by the rest area and take a breather. We're only halfway done with the tour. But how can we be sure that we're on an actual ship? Easy. This is the flight deck. Only authorized personnel can enter the cabin, and the door won't open unless the scan approves it. The ship is fueled by nether energy provided by the magical properties of the crystals, and the energy flows all throughout the ship. It is usually driven by 2 pilots and often stays idle. Oh no, we're crashing again! I'm kidding. The vessel is in very safe hands and usually travels at a very slow pace, as you can see through the glass. This wing also offers a public restroom that can be used by anyone on board, and a storage closet for the staff. Now, while it's true that the ship is fueled by crystal energy, we know that the Naru vessels are also fueled by the light, especially the one they emit. That's where my Paladin comes in. Her faith is strong and her will is pure, and as a Justicar of the Aldor, she's always around to provide prayer or defense when needed. Her home provides a small sanctuary dedicated to the Naru and the light, and visitors can join her in prayer if they start to feel uneasy while traveling. She's also an alchemist in her spare time, and has set up a small workstation to make minor potions and elixirs after hours. If you get injured on board, seek her out. Right across the hall and rightfully near the flight cabin is where my mage resides. She's the official artificer of the vessel, and as such, the main pilot. During her training as a mage, she realized her specialties lie in containment magic, maintenance, and practicality. Her increasing ability to extract magic from the Arconite crystals allowed her to perfect her skills as an artificer, so she decided to dedicate herself to that craft. Her home is where the power core of the vessel is located, and she maintains it to the best of her abilities. The few visitors that could be allowed in her home will be able to check out the blueprints of the entire ship and the technical aspects that keep it running. They could even toss in a small crystal into the power core. Her job is certainly the hardest, but she is loving every second of it. Now, let us return to the entryway right outside the teleporter. If you look above the entryway, you can see that there is a small balcony where you can sit down, have a cup of kava, and experience the view of the outside. If you look closely out the window, you can tell we're consistently moving at a reasonably slow pace. The crown jewel of this vessel isn't the flight cabin. It is this, the Fey Corium, a dedicated training ground for the Fey dragons that the Draenei use as companions, mounts, and sometimes for combat, but mainly for friendship. It is inspired by the Dracorium in Shadowmoon Valley. There are multiple sections here devoted to raising these dragons. Visitors can attend lectures, watch dragons being hatched and fed, or even experience what it might feel like to ride one. The dragons are intelligent creatures, and visitor discretion is advised. First, we have the teaching area, where visitors can learn all about the dragons, their backgrounds, their temperament, and how to communicate with them. It is still unclear what connects Fey dragons to both Draenor and the Dream, so research is always evolving. Crystals play a major role in their training and development. Right next to it is the hatchery, where eggs are incubated and kept warm through the magical properties of the crystals. Early exposure is quite necessary. Once they hatch, the baby dragons are moved to the nursery. Here, they're fed fish and vegetables and begin their early training, again guided by crystal energy. The washroom is where the dragons are bathed, but it also doubles as a laundromat for the citizens of the ship. Just beside it, you can see one of our adult dragons resting in a comfortable cradle. They really enjoy listening to stories while they doze off. And nearby, there is a small playground for the hatchlings where they can practice balance, agility, and obedience. Dragons are sentient beings, so their training isn't forced. It's more of a mutual agreement between dragon and rider. Once a rider feels truly comfortable with their mount, as does the dragon, they can attempt to become a professional dragon rider. Visitors are allowed to get on the saddle and simulate what riding one might feel like, though the dome isn't large enough for extended flight. The door itself doesn't allow Dragon Kings to pass through unless authorized, ensuring that visitors are never in danger. At the beginning of the tour, we mentioned 3 wings. We're about to see what's in the final middle wing. This area holds the home of our ship commander, Samaramon. Me. There are 2 large windows on each side of the entrance to the house, and visitors are free to sit, have a drink, and just observe space as we peacefully travel through it. You might even see some passing comets. And finally, it's time for... So come on in. Hi friends, and welcome to my home. Now, let me get comfy. As you can tell, I love having everything in one place. For me, it feels much cozier than having some grand house with a lot of rooms and floors. Here's my tailoring station, and this is where I make my Elec plushies. You can get one as a souvenir when you exit the ship. Right next to it is a small reading nook where I can catch up on some news and literature. Over here we have a pretty large sitting area where a lot of people can come over and hang out and watch the holographic display that deactivates after 7 days. Between the sitting area and the kitchen is a pretty lovely dining table with a lot of tasty food on it. I am always in the mood for sharing a home-cooked meal. The fully equipped kitchen has its own little nook. I keep my food consistently fresh in this compartment fueled by cold air, and my recipe book is right next to the oven for easy access. I feel like these see-through curtains help keep the areas separate from the living space. Next to my handcrafted fairy dragon inspired fireplace is a small bed where little Poppy can sleep, snack, and play with her toys. Of course, we also have a dedicated corner for our nightly prayer. Up the stairs in the loft area is my own personal heaven, where I can just jump into bed and tell all my plushies about my day, and they love to listen. Using the telescope, I can observe where in space we currently are, and maybe even take some notes and discuss it with them. This decoration comes from a very strange planet. And as usual, we have to have a makeup station, along with my favorite prayer book. I love this little area, it's so me. Plus, you get a great view of the entire floor from up here. Being a commander of this vessel comes with many perks. Mainly, I get the biggest bathroom, but my sisters are all free to share it, of course. I love the feeling of serenity you get while here. It's pretty spacious, space, and it's a great place to meditate and ease your mind. This closet was actually inspired by an old painting of me from a very long time ago. The ship constantly has warm water thanks to the nether energy. Because this is at the very back of the spaceship, you can actually see us leaving space behind as we travel across the stars. Warning! The next 2 minutes will be a silent demonstration of the ship's different time of day settings. Thank you for attending the demonstration. The ship is almost always traveling through space, and as such, there is no visible day and night cycle. So the lights were installed to create immersion among the citizens and visitors. We still conclude the day in darkness, as the lights shut off and we peacefully drift through the endless beyond. Our storefront back on Azeroth does still endure the daily cycle, and the ship tries to parallel the time of day on board, so there is no drastic difference when one travels between indoors and outdoors. This concludes our tour. Thank you for being part of the experience, and I genuinely hope you enjoyed your time here. Melanora Aka. Hello? Oh, good, it's finally over. I can take back my video now. Hi everyone, I just want to talk about all the things that inspired me to make this build. Shadowmoon Valley architecture was a huge inspiration for me on the outside, while the Exodar inspired the inside. I especially love this little place called the Dracorium, which maybe not many of you are even aware of. It is basically where dragons are actually trained on Shadowmoon, and because I roleplay, that's where I used to work. But unfortunately, Draenei is kinda off limits now when it comes to roleplay, so I still tried to replicate everything as best as I could, given the furniture that we currently have. This was made before midnight. I highly recommend you visit this place. I really tried my best to replicate these iconic statues as well, and I did it mainly using pillows and fence posts. So yeah, this is the vibe that I was going for, and I hope I got it. Let me know. Before I forget, thanks again to Arsinna, my Guildie. He was essential in recording some scenes. I hope you guys liked the way this video was recorded. I used one of my accounts as the camera and the other one as a tour guide. It was very hard actually, but it turned out kinda cool. I do want to make tutorials on all the custom things in this video, so please let me know if you would be interested. This guy is just pillows, barrels, and curtains, for example. I got a lot of comments on the last video about me not showing the floor plan, even though I did show it at the very end of the video. So here it is again. You can take a look at how things actually worked out. I was heavily inspired by the Exodar layout, and I didn't go for multiple floors this time. It's all on one single floor. And I'm very happy with how it turned out with the budget that I have. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Oh. Hi, you're still here? Okay, I understand. It's hard for me to leave too. But I love that you stayed until the end. I'll see you next time.
A tape. A regular tape. People run it, I don't know.